Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
And
Will.
Cool, alright then. So we've had a couple of big sort of presentations in the form of the PlayStation Showcase and also the first night of Gamescom, which had loads and loads of trailers courtesy of Jeff Keighley and stuff. So
that feels like years ago. I know.
Yeah, that was on the 26th of August, which is nearly a month ago, but we haven't chatted since. So, what should we do first? Oldest or most
let's do
significant,
the Gamescom
impressive?
one.
All right.
Because I think the PlayStation one has cooler shit.
Oh, so
Okay.
we're going to go for the ramp up. So we're saying tune in. So skip forward, dear listeners, to maybe about 20 minutes, and we'll
It's like
talk about
those
something good.
VHS trailers for old movies. You've got all the really shit ones at the start, like Never Ending Story 17.
It was a
Something like
time
that.
just after lunch.
Time of games and calm.
I think the thing that stood out for me, since you've asked,
Sorry.
Gamescom,
You tell you what. Maybe play with the editing and put this in for. So, Rob, what stood out for you?
I don't know. I was just trying to shape the conversation somehow, but what stood out for me, Will, was
I'd love to
Firaxis-
hear a bit of ninja editing over this.
I'm not going to do it. It's just going to sound like this. Firaxis have revealed Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is a tactical RPG.
Yeah.
So these are the guys that do XCOM and stuff, but they have since revealed gameplay footage of it, and it doesn't look very XCOM at all.
No.
I think the combat is apparently turn-based, but it's done in such a way that it's very much not on a grid. They've shown, and there's also like a sort of central hub, which I guess is similar to like XCOM, but it's more about like hanging out with Tony Stark and all this and that. And the Midnight Sun of the title is actually like an editable, customizable, upgradable superhero of your own that will play alongside a sort of slightly twisted roster that we're used to. Like I think we've got like Ghost Rider here and Blade and some of the more sinister side of the
and some of the
Marvel
less used
thing. Yeah, which is good, really. I think because we've all had certainly a lot of exposure to the usual.
I always find these kind of Marvel games, like the what were the ones that were going on for a while, like the hero sort of ones who are multiplayer and stuff.
Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, I always find that those ones, because they've got more allegiance towards the Marvel comic book characters, a lot more characters get a bit of sunshine, if you get what I mean. They sort of, they have a bigger roster, and you kind of go, oh, these are these people, and that person, and that person, and that person.
What I found particularly interesting about this one is they often say the Divinity Original Sin, obviously there were earlier Divinity games that I never saw or played, but Divinity Original Sin took a lot of cues from XCOM, but many would argue took a lot and refined it, and many things made better, not all of it. But it feels like Firaxis have gone back and looked at Divinity, I think, with the combat that's being talked about for this Marvel game, and gone, yeah, right, it is a good idea, but we started it, now we can take your bit. And I think that becomes rather interesting, because I didn't like the grid-based bit. I found it rather... I didn't enjoy XCOM, but I absolutely adored the combat in Divinity. So if we could take Marvel Divinity, then that is super cool.
Yeah, even though it's not on a grid, it looks like they've just made stuff sort of like range-based and area effect and all that sort of stuff.
Very much like Divinity.
See, I'm probably the heathen in the room and saying that I've never played either XCOM or Divinity. So I'm probably going to be approaching it from this angle, as in this will be my first XCOM-ivity sort of game, even if it sits somewhere in the middle of the two.
Did you play Mario versus Rabbids on the Switch?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because that actually I would say was an XCOM clone.
Okay.
But yeah, basically you get a certain amount of movement points each turn. You get movement points or an action points, or it'll work that way, or you'll get a certain amount of points overall. So you may be able to, at the start of your turn, move to some cover and then fire a shot or use a superpower or cast a spell or whatever it is. So the whole point is it's turn-based combat, but
turn-based strategic combat sort of.
Exactly that. But it sounds like almost like the Divinity, if I do recall the interview I read correctly. Once again, it's about interacting with the world around you, not just about fighting the enemies, but using things, using powers, combining powers.
Probably attacking
to
environments
cause
to get bonuses
chaos.
or something like that.
Absolutely. So all of that stuff sounds quite cool to me.
Yeah, no, I think I'll be pulling the trigger on it.
There's like a sort of card collecting aspect to it as well. Some people have speculated that might be some sort of like pay to win type thing, but knowing Firaxis,
it could be just like power ups or accessories.
That's it.
Which you probably won't need to win, but you know,
Firaxis, if it is true single player, which I don't know for example, it won't be. I don't think. It might be that you can pay to zoom ahead, but they're not a publisher that I would particularly, or a developer that I would particularly associate with that sort of dirty mechanic.
No. It does look really nice as well. I've got the video on right now. We're looking at Assassin's Creed level of detail on the characters and.
It's one I'll definitely be keeping an eye on. But the trouble is, I do know that I'm very fussy with that sort of game. To me, Divinity I adored because it was an RPG with that sort of combat in between. But XCOM I didn't enjoy because it was just each level was just embrace the grid. So it'd be nice to see what happens.
I think the way I've always played like games like XCOM is I've tried to sort of impress upon my mob of faceless goons some level of personality. Either that's by making them like my friends, or that's the main one really.
That's what I did with a couple of goons I could name.
Yeah, but whereas this won't have that. I think the fact that you've got Iron Man and Tony Stark and
Iron Man and Tony Stark.
Sorry, I mean you've got it might be a different Iron Man. No, but you know what I mean. Like you've got these different characters like Wolverine, Doctor Strange that everyone's got a certain level of investment in, and will probably be wanting to keep. I very much doubt that you'll kill these characters, but you'll want to keep them available, and fit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it follows the XCOM basis of being able to kill them off, or whether there's some sort of injuring out mechanic, or who knows what. But this is the darker side as well. It's got a lot more obscure ones that I probably won't have heard of, not being that close to these things, which quite interests me.
Yeah. I mean, they might even just make it in such a way that only certain characters are valid for certain missions, perhaps, it wouldn't be feasible for, a certain, or simply you'll just be like, I want to use that. I want to use this team because I know these guys, I'll bring Blade with me because there's vampires, you know what I mean? That sort of.
Yeah, they'll all have something like that. I'm sure Blade will probably have some. I'm just speculating, but because he's a vampire and he often has these moments, he might have like a blood craze special or something, almost like a berserk that could be calmed, probably with a card item or something as well. So you can kind of utilise that, send him in, let him go nuts, and the more his blood rage probably increases. This is pure speculation though, because I've not anything to do with the game.
It's just getting into it.
But it's just like, if you know your mutants and you know your superheroes, you'll have an idea of their powers, the ones you're familiar with. So you'll know, like people like Miss Captain Marvel, they're what I would call a zoner character. They should be longer range, so you'd keep them back and it'd provide almost artillery support.
But Wolverine and Blade up front,
they'll be the Berserker Rushdown characters. Yeah, so you could probably put together a squad based on that. you're providing cover whilst others rush in.
Good.
I'm already
sort of
thinking
mixture.
about this and quite excited.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking the superhero concept and like layering it up with like the whole RPG mechanics. So I'm really excited. They're a developer I've got a lot of trust in. They've made many games that I've enjoyed, many games I've never had time to enjoy. These are the guys that make Civilization. So
yes, which
cool.
I actually, just as a very little side note, finally finished a campaign of Civilization 6 for the first time. I've owned that game since a few weeks after it came out, and I finally actually stuck through one of my save games from beginning to end and conquered the world as the Romans.
Wow.
And you know what? It didn't take nearly as long as I expected, because I was brutal. And I betrayed everyone, and everyone hated me, and I killed them all.
I actually picked that up. It was on sale. It was heavily discounted, I think, because a certain company that I might work for put out a game that's quite similar, and I think they were getting scalped. So they decided to do.
Well, it went to Game Pass,
sale.
didn't it? Humankind, was it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I must admit, I fired up Humankind because it was on Game Pass, and I just kind of went, yeah, maybe I'll start a new game of Civilization. And that's what I did, because because I've got Civilization and I've played Civilization, I didn't need another game. I needed to finish Civilization, and I think it was that made me actually do it. But anyway, sorry, Gamescom.
Yeah, you're probably not alone there.
Yeah.
Any other highlights from Gamescom? That was pretty much it for me, if I'm honest.
Nothing for me, to be honest. No, to be honest, I didn't pay much attention at all, because there's rarely anything that exciting to me comes out of Gamescom.
They did some Far Cry 6 trailers, but I mean, you're already...
I'm buying it day one anyway. I mean, I shall talk about it next episode. I will have played it. It's that straightforward. I love a Far Cry. I know that after 6 months it will be a better game. I don't mind this. Most Far Cry games I play over twice these days, so it's not a problem.
I just don't really play them. So, well, I just haven't really since 4, as is well documented, and I won't go over that again. They are rebooting Saints Row. They've decided that franchise basically just got bombarded into silliness. Yeah. So they're going, we'll just try it. We'll just start it again. They've kind of
made it go a bit fast and furious, though, by the feel of it. But sort of street gang version.
Yeah. I played
GTA.
I think it was 3, and then I played Get Out of Hell. I played 3 and I completed it through, and I thought, this is odd and vaguely amusing at times and very okay. And then I played Get Out of Hell, which I think was on PS Plus or something, and I just thought, not really in the mood for this, and that was it. But no, I'm not bothered about Saints Row personally, I must admit. It's totally all right.
Yeah, it's like a B level franchise for me, or maybe even a C level. I don't think I've played one of them in any capacity other than like maybe a demo or something.
Yeah. If it was the only game I had, I'd play it, but...
Yeah, it's like, well, that's kind of like a load of other games I've played, so I'll just play them instead.
That's it.
Anything for you, Marcus?
No, to be honest, it was just the intriguement of the Marvel thing, because I was thinking, with the inclusion, obviously, I no shame about mentioning that I kind of used to dip in and out of Fortnite and stuff like that. And they had a Blade skin on there, a pretty unique one to the game, where he had like weird samurai armour up the side of his coat, and his shades were red. So it's like, obviously designed for the game. And then obviously the Marvel's Midnight Suns has Blade in there as well. It's almost like a mention. Don't forget, this is coming up in sort of phase 5 or 4 of Marvel stuff. So I just thought it's quite nice.
Yeah.
Seeing the characters starting to get a bit of showtime.
For sure.
But to be honest, it kind of dragged. It was just one of those ones where it was just, there's a bit more on, was it Forbidden West?
Yeah, that's right. We got a release date.
Yeah, we got a release date. But it's just one of those things where you could just catch a trailer,
Yeah, 18th 18th of February
Yeah.
is Horizon Forbidden West on both PS4 and PS5.
Yeah. I think I'll be waiting until I get a PS5 before I kind of go to that.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I'll be getting that day one.
I wonder if they'll do a kind of... because obviously PS5 kind of upscales games a little bit as well. I wonder if there'll be a double pack, like a... You know, you can get a digital version of the first game with the second one's release. Just for people to get the story up. I know the game's available everywhere still, but who knows?
They've just released a 60 frames per second patch for the first game.
Oh, there you go. They're already
if
doing
you put
that.
it on PS5.
Yeah, so
yeah.
you can enjoy it on your PS5 and then jump straight into the second one.
It looks really good on PC as well. I've seen it recently.
That's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, while we're talking about PlayStation, then we won't hold back any longer. PlayStation Showcase was on last week, was it? 9th or the week before?
The week
actually?
before.
Yeah, the week before.
There were some surprises, though, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they really, I think it definitely, earned its title of Showcase because this wasn't this wasn't one of their like state of play things. They actually had a lot to show.
Yeah. Can I just start by saying Insomniac Games may be called that because they clearly don't stop working.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
it's
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
I mean, the Miles Morales one for PS5, it only just feels like it hasn't been out that long.
Yes, but
And
they
that
also
was-
did Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah.
And yet, we got two. Was it just two, or maybe there was three, or maybe
Yeah.
four? Two
Maybe-
additional Insomniac Games announcements. One of which did Spider-Man 2 have a release date, or was it just confirmation that it's
I think it was 20...
2022?
2023.
Yeah, I think it's 2023. Yeah.
So, I mean, to be fair to the guys, fine. And the other one was just down as in development, but the other one,
Well-
how exciting was that?
Wolverine.
Yeah.
I must
I
admit, about time.
There were so
I'm
many
seeing-
weird things.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things I spotted in there. There's like the license plate on the bar. I've not looked at an Easter egg video, so I don't know. It's like there was a license plate on the bar, and I think it had Hulk on there as well. And I'm guessing he had like some numbers. So I'm guessing it's like an issue related thing or something like that. When it's one of those love letter trailers that they love to pack full of things that nerds kind of go like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing. This is gold."
But let me
And
know
I
if you
spotted
meet
it.
any.
And I spotted it.
There was some reference to Madripoor.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
bar he's in. I think it was like the Princess Bar or something like that, which was actually in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They
Yeah,
walk
what would you
past
say
it.
that's like an analogue to then? It's kind of like an African city, town, isn't it? Or something?
No, Madripoor is like Hong Kong. It's basically like an Asian
Oh,
powerhouse.
okay.
It's like, imagine like Hong Kong and Singapore, but full of crime lords.
Right.
Right.
So it's their place. So Logan hangs out there because of all the scum and villains and stuff, and he can just drink.
I think you've got to say
fight.
scum and villainy.
Yeah, but I was keeping it away from Star Wars because that comes
And
later.
there has been like a sort of Eastern, like,
Hives of,
Oriental angle to Wolverine, hasn't there, in the past
Yeah.
historically? So that
He's-
could tie in
yeah,
quite
he-
nicely.
Him and Lady Deathstrike, I imagine they'll be tied together in the game somehow. Or Yuriko.
I am kind of hoping that this is to Spider-Man what The Last of Us is to Uncharted, and that it's a more sort of a slower,
darker, grittier, story-led.
I think it will be. I think they've got their
Yeah.
chops. They've got their credence and their kind of voice with the Spider-Man game and the follow-up, and they've kind of proved to Sony, look, we can deliver on these. We've got the clout. Let us do something grittier, something nastier.
I think
And-
Insomniac, between Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man, have demonstrated that they can be trusted.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'd just
And
like
Sony
it
are
to
like, yeah.
not be a reskin of Spider-Man. It could be so easy to do that.
Now, we'll reskin a Ratchet and Clank. Don't worry, you'll have Wolverine, but he'll have a little Cyclops on his back.
Oh, that's much better.
No, it's got to be Beast, isn't it?
Okay.
And he throws him for the fastball special. God, that's
But
a
yeah, I
nerdy
mean,
fact.
we know nothing about that game other than that it's an Insomniac Wolverine game. I'd like to see it. I think I know where you're coming from. So when we say, I think I'd like to see it maybe more focused on a story and a plot and movement and action than an
like
open
like a
world
Last of Us
explorer.
game.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Wolverine's quite an interesting character to tell stories about. It's quite deep.
Kind of.
Well, he's not all spandexed up, is he? This is like,
It's Logan.
the post Logan movie version of Wolverine. So
Well, he's standard,
that's-
really. He's always been in flannel and stuff, so...
Yeah, it's not to say that he might not go full yellow at some point, or some sort of version of that.
How amazing would that be? Like, I reckon there will be flashback missions to him, possibly in Alpha Flight. Could you imagine that? Going on a mission and you've got Sabretooth alongside you as well, and you have to take out bad guys. And that would be like the Spider-Man games, because you would then go in and you would take out bad guys, but it would be like a flashback sequence or something.
I mean, Sabretooth, from a computer game's perspective, I mean, they're very similar setups.
Yeah.
That could be quite interesting.
It would be quite fun to just see have this psychotic partner just brutalising their way through. But I mean, that would very much be a kind of Spider-Man-esque, where they get to use a bit more of that engine, where you're going in and taking out bad guys in a set sort of base or something. I can imagine that just off the top of my head. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Whatever they do with it, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah. So that was exciting. So just to cover maybe the biggest other one first, in my opinion, would be the final one, which was the not at all surprising and fully expected, but hopefully next year, God of War 2. Which is not just the second part in a trilogy, because they've confirmed since that this is the last of the Norse gods' story, because they didn't want to spend another 5 years after this one.
They
didn't want to do 15 years on a trilogy. They want to do something else, and fair play.
Oh no, but they did say it in a certain way, though. They did say this wraps up the Norse side.
Yeah, they're not saying there won't be more God of War games, but they're just saying that it won't be Norse again, right?
Yeah.
So you're right.
It's quite
maybe
bold of them to do that.
Could it be a bit weird? Could it be like, after everything that happens, there could be a modern day setting?
No, I think we'll be working with the Norse pantheon, but that doesn't mean that Kratos, is it Kratos? Yeah. Kratos and Atreus won't end up for a third game going and visiting an entirely different pantheon. What about Egypt, for example? So the Egyptian pantheon was fascinating. But there are the ancient Roman pantheon, because obviously it's focused on Greek and then Viking. There are so many interestingly pagan pantheons.
Yeah, you're right, because I remember one of the older games, he ends up going after, he goes after all of them, doesn't he? He goes after, because this one's Norse.
Yep.
Whereas
it was
in
all
the original,
Greek
it was
before.
Greek mythology, because he ends up riding Pegasus.
It was all Greek to me, certainly.
Yeah. I think the thing is, the only thing that was missing from this footage was just the sense of newness that the first version of this had.
Yeah.
And I can sort of see why they would maybe want to further reinvent it for another setting, maybe even another console or something. I don't know
the thing is,
how long it would take.
Yeah, it was such a good reinvention of the franchise, though. That it was so good. There's only so much more they can do with it. I'm sure it'll be a cracking game, but as will it be as much of a breath of fresh air as the first one? I don't see how it can be, but I think it will still be a quality game, well sold. That's what I'm hoping for, anyway. It's that sort
This
of
could
game
be the end
that
of
would get me
Kratos,
my
then.
PS5.
This could be the end of Kratos.
That'd be the end of the God of War to me, because Kratos is.
Well, no, God of War is never referred to. It's never been him. It's who he's after. The first one, he was trying to kill the God of War. And in this, they are talking about. There is reference to God of War. He's I forget his bucket. Tyr is the God of War in Norse mythology, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tuesday's after, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is he the
Atreus.
one- the
they could be
one-handed one?
paving the way for a more woke avatar than Kratos. He is a bit of a relic.
Well, I think relics are allowed. But it's
The
interesting.
first games were very problematic, like
Okay.
the way they treated women, and they've been trying to. I think they want the franchise to transform, and that. I mean, he is an iconic character.
To be honest, they've already undone a lot of the infamous QTE sequences of the original trilogy with that first game. So I don't think they need to do anything because they've instilled him as a father figure, massively violent one. But they've already restarted the law on it.
I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this next game you are directly controlling Atreus. I'll say it now.
I hope
There we
not,
go.
unless Atreus has grown up and got a lot bolder and grumpier and more muscular and is using axes.
They'll make him awesome if they make that decision. It will be awesome.
I kind of thought they wouldn't because that kind of seems like the obvious one. Because the moment you see someone with their son, you kind of think, oh, the father figure's going to bite the dust. And it's kind of a trope that's been done quite a lot.
I bet he's got a cough in the very first mission.
Oh, God. Yeah.
We will see.
I tell you
Anyway,
what, I'm going to say
that,
it now. Kratos becomes the axe. He becomes his dual-wielded scythe weapons from the first game.
Yeah, that's right.
we will see.
Brilliant.
So the only other one I would like to particularly mention was there was a more in-depth look of a game that's coming out pretty soon, and I don't believe it's a PlayStation exclusive or anything, but it was in the show, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy. What was quite a surprise this summer, as it's out in the next month or so, I think. Was it October 19th or something off the top of my head, or might even be
28th.
28th? Well, it's soon. It's very soon, right?
Very soon indeed.
And today, because we are now in late September as we record, today a number of articles came out from the video games press from people who've done sort of an hour or so hands-on with the game. And that's starting to get me deeply interested. So some of the confirmations, you play only as Star-Lord, but when you're out fighting, you can send commands to the rest of the crew. So Rocket will work as sending in long-range strikes. Drax is obviously in there and fighting. But whilst you're fighting as Star-Lord and using your blasters with elemental damage, you're also working to control the rest of the crew in the fights. And you can then do this weird huddle thing where if you get them through and read their thoughts and say the right words, it plays an awesome track from your Walkman and doubles up your damage and their damage. And there's all sorts of weird little things. But my understanding is this is it's pure single player, and it's gonna feel almost like a Mass Effect type game, but with waves and hordes of combat to do with the Guardians. So I'm genuinely quite excited for this now. And it looks cool.
The soundtrack looks wicked as well, and apparently, like, there's some original songs, and they've just got the guy who was doing the soundtrack to do the vocals because he had a really good metal voice.
Yeah, so there's sort of Metallica and Iron Maiden type inspired 80s style rocky metal, but then with ones as the general ambient soundtrack. But then when you get the right ones, they've got proper licensed actual real songs coming in for the special moments. So I think that sounds perfect to me.
Needle drop. Yeah. No, it does look wicked. I've just got a fear that I usually get with any licensed game, where whether it's really had the time put into it and the thought,
Well, I think we can say after Avengers, Square Enix can definitely be trusted with. Oh shit! Hang on.
Yeah. This is it. This is their chance to prove us wrong.
Eidos Montreal, they did the Tomb Raider games. They do know how to put together a game. Let's hope.
Maybe by trying to focus things a little more around Star-Lord and stuff, and not try to spread themselves so thin.
Yeah.
Because with Avengers, they really were trying to cater for everyone and
chasing the money.
Yeah, all these like extra DLCs, and it's like no, just focus on what you've got and like make that good. Not worrying about like what other characters you've got to slot in. So hopefully, I really want this to be good. I really do. Mostly because otherwise I won't be buying any other games this year.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. And the only other game I'm expecting to play, as I say, is Far Cry 6. Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, I refuse to go anywhere near that until I finish the Ubisoft game that I've been playing for most of my life at this point.
Yeah, so how far are you into Valhalla? I mean, it appears to be just a problem you can't shake.
I think it's just because I find it very boring, and I just can't play it for very long.
Have you ever considered just not finishing it?
No, never. I will carry on. I'll chip away at it for 2 hours a week until it's done.
But when you chip away at it, you kind of go, oh, there's a seasonal event and I could get a different set of fancy armour. I shall do that rather than just get to the end of the game.
And it continues to slow me down.
Oh, you do it? You are... Sorry. There is a word for people like you, but I shall reserve...
Tenacious?
Actually, it rhymed with hell end, but...
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. No, but I did get to the... I've done all the Essex bit, and I've got... I think I'm off to Brighton, or Sussex or something now.
Right.
Just another fucking county in England. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
They're all so big and take ages to do.
I went up to York last weekend, but in real life, and there was a Viking centre there, and it was quite fascinating, and I was trying to remember the details of York from the Viking times that I knew of, i.e. Yeah, so I didn't actually make it in because they're all booking slots. But yeah, I was looking at the rivers because you got the Ouse goes through and then the other river, and they're in Valhalla. And I was trying to remember anything about it, and I couldn't. So it was probably a bit of a shit anecdote. But there we go.
Yeah. But still, your family enjoyed it when you scaled that high place to get the map.
That's it, yes. And then mugged the tour guide.
Once you synchronised, you knew where you were.
Yes. So the wife was a bit upset when I threw myself into that cart of hay, but...
No, I am trying to employ some discipline and get through the fucking thing, but it just keeps putting these baubles in my way, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how I get into that house.
Yeah, there is no reason to do anything other than follow the main quest, follow the quest markers, do the thing, put it to bed, Robert.
I know, I will try. Anyway, was there anything else? They announced they're making a remake of the best game ever made. Exclusive for PlayStation 5.
Is it GTA 5?
No, Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
We are talking... This is why we are talking Final Fantasy VII levels of irrational madness.
Yeah.
On my part here. Because, I mean, the thing is, right, if they do it like they've done that Final Fantasy VII one, like a total rebuild, then I'm very intrigued to see what they do. But they are a very unproven studio, and I know the story, and I know the big twist in it, so it will never have the same effect as that first time I played the original game.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's like watching Fight Club again. It's that sort of twist.
Yeah.
So, which has its benefits because you go, oh yeah, look, cool. I didn't know about that. If they can make it like that, where there's all these like knowing little bits of fan service that make you appreciate.
The thing is, it's weird. I was trying to think of the perfect way to describe why I cared about the FF7 remake, and I know we went on and on about it, and it just became an argument. But it hit me the other day. It's basically the difference between seeing like Aliens and Alien Special Edition, but with extra bits even more added in.
It's just you love the thing and you just want to see it.
When you watch Aliens, the Special Edition one, you get that whole section at the start with the colony, and you kind of like immediately going, oh, what the hell's going on here? I don't remember this bit. And it just builds so much more to the point where you miss those bits where you watch the original again. So like the sentry guns and the bit where they're having odd little character building conversations, Ripley talking about her daughter, who you find out has died of old age and stuff like that. All of that's not in the theatrical cut at all. And it just, all that stuff makes it a slightly better film, in my sense. So it was kind of like that for me. I'm not going into any more about it. But it's kind of like that, and the feel of it is still like that.
Takes the thing you remember as
18
great and
years.
adds to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 18 years old.
So if they do
Knights
that
of
with
the Old
Knights of the Old
Republic
Republic and it works, I will fully understand, Rob, why you would lose your shit.
Well,
even if the story
likewise,
is known.
I will
Yeah.
concede that I was maybe wrong.
Yeah, but I totally
Can we have
get
that in
why.
writing? Oh, well, we're recording it. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to edit this
No,
bit out.
I'll take any bit of flack that I get for like going, oh, check out this fucking ancient game that I'm playing that they threw a new coat of paint on.
There's
If
a
I-
big
if I
difference
was-
between
sometimes-
new coat
sometimes
of
when they
paint
do it-
and building it again from scratch. If it's a story and mechanics that you loved, and they're going to take it and modernise it and retell it slightly differently and enhance the
And
mechanics.
not just that,
then
if you
brilliant.
think about the advancements in computer gaming, sort of controls, everything. Everything's been sharper, everything works a lot better.
Yeah, I mean the
All of the quality
original
of
Knights of the
life
Old
stuff that
Republic
we've evolved.
it was pretty rudimentary. We're talking really old school. I mean, this is not even your sort of game, Marcus, but it's like the old school BioWare way of doing things, where it was very much story first and environments and controls later. To be doesn't
honest,
even matter.
It's one of those games I wish I had played at the time, but I've never been.
Your head was in a different place.
Yeah,
man.
and
Like,
I've never
it's
been
so
into the whole
un-Japanese.
PC gaming so much. Every time I kind of dipped into it
It
and
was-
got into it, my PC was too old. So I
It was
always never had a
PC
decent
and it
gaming
was-
rig.
It was PC and it was the original Xbox.
I never had that, so yeah. So for me,
That's
it
what
was
I played
something
it on,
that
the original
sailed by.
Xbox.
Yeah, I
With a
never played
gigantic-
KOTOR.
I think I didn't have the gigantic controller. They actually redesigned that. The original Xbox controller looked like a fucking,
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. It was enormous.
yeah.
There was, for some reason, they were obsessed.
Do you remember the one that they created for, was it Steel Battalion? Where you
Oh.
assembled this HOTAS style controller to control this mech, and you had to
Yeah.
have a table to actually place the thing on.
And it was
It was
shit.
the only thing bigger than the console.
Yeah. All right then.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it there, maybe. And
I think so.
unless
Yeah,
anyone's got anything else.
only other thing I would mention was Ghostwire Tokyo, because that was the most batshit crazy looking bit of game I've ever seen. I mean,
It's like
it was
action
mad.
first
Other
person
than the,
creepiness, isn't it? It was like,
other
what
than
the hell was
Project
going on?
Eve.
Oh, Project Eve looked actually really, really cool, but she wouldn't shut up.
Oh, and neither would the guy who would just slowly mutter about things that were happening and in a Japanese language, and I just can't fucking cope with this sort of very casual narration
Constant
over the top
commentary
of
not required.
this. It's like, shut up!
I think I'll give it a go, though. I might give Project Eve a go, but only because I seem to be the one that gets sucked in by these Devil May Cry style games.
Yeah, I just get turned off so much by this awful delivery
Yeah.
of like dialogue.
Yeah.
You
I grew up in the anime world. I grew up in the anime world, moulded by it. By the time I arrived at Hollywood,
Yeah,
I was
I see-
blinded.
It's like basically like poke him in the fucking eye the whole time. It's like, shut up!
You know what I like? I like a bit of good, punchy dialogue. Can be sweary, could be a bit funny. Maybe at the start of every
Yeah.
time loop, you get a nice little bit of punchy dialogue between yourself, the hero, and maybe the assassin who might be hunting you down.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Is it time
Yeah.
to talk about things what we have been
time.
playing then?
It's time.
Will, should we loop it? Let's loop it.
You know what I like? I like a bit of dialogue that starts... No, I can't remember what I said now.
Oh, well, that died a death, didn't it?
But no,
It's
so I've been playing Deathloop, and I believe you have as well, Mr. Howard?
I have.
I'm presuming, Hurley, from the radio silence we had from you, you've not dabbled.
I haven't yet, no.
No,
I
no,
haven't
it's...
yet. But it's you know, it's my usual thing where I arrive to the party late, then blab about it.
It's quite the party. Now, what I would say is I made arguably the mistake of immediately before playing Deathloop doing another thing I hadn't done and had intended to, and finishing one of my all-time favourite games ever, which was Dishonored 2. And I actually
that's literally the same game. That's literally the same game as Deathloop.
So my trouble is I'm comparing it to what I would actually say is Arkane's masterpiece. And there are things that compares favourably. Firstly, there are a couple of moments where it's fun in a happy, as in laugh out loud, this is cheerful, this is great bonkers silliness way. And I love a bit of bonkers silliness. So that's great. And the fact that you don't have to find magic potions all the time and you can just basically spam your special skill, whatever they call them,
exactly
slabs.
The same powers that are in Dishonored.
Some of, yes. Certainly the blink is there.
Well, they're not all in there, but the ones that are there are in Dishonored.
Well, the ones that I've used, oddly enough, the ones that I've been using the most are in Dishonored. The domino, whatever it's called, where you can basically link enemies together, and if you headshot one of them, they all go down. Although
Nexus.
Although there's genuine delight to that, because actually this one's kind of a cloud area of effects. So there's one particular thing where you go to the right place in an evening and there's a party. Sorry, I will rewind in just a moment, and we'll maybe explain a bit more about the game.
Yeah, you need that, really.
Yeah.
I did that and I got horribly murderized after I'd done a lot of murderizing, and I still got murderized.
But what you can do is you get this power and you enhance it a bit, and you can basically go into this party. There's a room full of people with machine guns, and you cast this one spell and you shoot one of them in the head, and the whole lot drop to the floor, and you go, I am a god! But the premise, which I shall go, unless you'd like to, Rob? Shall I do the short version?
I can. Yeah, I can do. You play a chap who's basically like head of security in this sort of like very small like area of Ireland, and you immediately get killed. I forget the names.
I wouldn't worry about the names.
All right. Well, there's a girl and there's a man, and you play the single player part as the man, and you're basically trying to. You've got to.
Colt.
I mean, it's pretty light on
Colt
plot.
and Juliana.
Bits. Colt. Yeah. Okay. So you're Colt. Yeah, and you're. It's immediately clear that you're being hunted down and you need to stop this time loop that you're stuck in. The only way to do this apparently is to take down these 8 visionaries who are like these high level value targets, and each one of them is in a different part of this. There's 4 main areas, and there's 4 times of day, and you're basically tasked with trying to engineer them being all in the same place, or in at least
you need to
as
kill
many
all
different
8
places
through it in a single
one
day to break the time loop. Yeah, but so it's set in it's kind of got this 1970s vibe, and everyone on the island is basically either one of these visionaries or an ex-convict, ex-prisoner that they've recruited to come and pay there. So people. The whole idea is it's kind of this 1970s party island where every day is the same, and they start the day, and even if they die, they're reborn the next day. This island's in this weird time field, and as Rob says, you're the head of security guy that was one of these visionaries, was the head of security, but has decided he's sick of it and wants to break the loop, possibly after having been killed the umpteenth time. So I've not completed the game yet, but I think I'm getting fairly advanced in, and you're kind of realising that these visionaries in charge are just absolute arseholes. It's an island of purest hedonism where you can do what you want. It doesn't matter who it hurts, what it does, and then you can do it exactly the same again the next day. Most of these people have no memory of it, but Colt somehow remembers things, and the whole idea is going through these loops, learning things, remembering them, and getting better so that you get to the point where you can go, right, I now know everything I need to do, I can do it in the right order, and I can finish this in a day. The other joy is the residium.
Yeah.
So
which is how you hang on to your abilities that you acquire.
That's it.
And weapons.
So it's kind of like upgrades. You get, every time you do a loop, you're essentially almost getting a new game plus. But with every link with that residium.
Sort of, yeah.
What it is, right? What they've done is they've fused the usual sort of immersive sim mechanics that they love, which is all about experimenting and different routes through levels. And what they've done is they've fused that with kind of like the trendy sort of roguelike type thing of like Dark Souls, where you are You are learning by acquiring information. So every time you die, you are reset. But there's also like
video
this
game path, though, isn't it? If
there is, but you could argue that about any of these new trendy roguelike things. The thing is, as well, is it's not quite as brutal as that, because you do the first ability you get basically gives you like a free 2 extra lives, and as long as they refresh when you enter a new map. So there's 4 times of day. You can skip straight to midnight if you want, but you can visit 4 different areas at 4 different times of day, and depending on what time of day you visit it, you know, certain doors might be unlocked and certain characters might be there. So, and you'll be encouraged to mix those things up as much as possible on successive loops. You know, and as you play it more, you realise kind of where you've got to go to kind of get people to be where you want and things like that.
But as you
so eliminates a lot of the repetition that you might otherwise get from a game that's basically set in 4 different zones.
But also, as you progress, so you get slabs. Sorry, not runes. That's Dishonored. You get slabs, and you might get, for example, the blink slab the first time you kill a visionary, and that will allow you to teleport short distances. And if you kill them again on another loop,
it's called shift. In this game.
Sorry, you get the shift. Sorry, my bad. You get the shift slab. But if you kill that visionary,
it's not Freudian, mate. We're proving a point here.
Well, that's it. But if you kill the same visionary again in a later loop, you could get an upgrade to that slab. So you could maybe go a bigger distance, or you can do this kick that will, at the end of it, where you've appeared in super speed and you kick them and they go flying. But the trick is, at the end of each loop, so long as you haven't died, you've collected lots of weapons and a lot of little enhancement tags, and you turn them into residium. So a few things at the end of each round, you can say, I want to put all of my points, my score, my money, whatever we want to call it, my resources into saving that gun and that slab, or that slab upgrade. Okay. So when you start the next loop, you can start that gun at the start. So I've got a little machine pistol, which is silenced, and I use that 99% of my kills, because I can headshot quietly and stealth the whole thing, because that works for me. I've also got a golden sniper rifle for when I want to cause distance chaos, or where I'm trying to pick off Juliana if she's hunting me. And I've got various things that enhance my powers. So where I started out, I was quite low power. I'm doing exactly the same loops. People are the same. But I'm a much double-harder bastard. And by the time
you're leveling
up
by going through and keeping and just keep enhancing your class that you're building yourself. And I'm going to
start learning how to influence, and it does give you lots of clues. It gives you lots of hints. It records it all for you, and you can. I'm pretty certain you'll kind of go, right, I'm ready. You'll get to this point where you go, right, I think I've learned everything I need to know to be able to kill these 3 people first thing in the morning, and then go to the power station in the early afternoon to turn on the power so that this evening that's in place, then I'll kill that person. And then I'm going to go over to this map and I'll kill these 2, and then I'll finish it off taking these 2 out, and that will break the loop. That's where it's working at. But I will feel powerful enough, and I will have the weaponry, and I'll have the knowledge, but I don't need to remember it. I don't need a pad and paper here to try and remember it. It's going to walk me through it.
It's just, if you get to a point and you're overpowered, when you do upgrade your weapons, you'll be able to naturally break that barrier, or you've got the right skill now, or I think you've got enough wits about you, or you've built up your own personal skill level.
That's it.
In the game.
You're still not overpowered. I think you never become a bullet sponge. I think, or certainly not the way I'm playing. You've got to be stealthy, and you've got to be cooler than
I didn't mean overpowered. I meant your firepower's improved.
Yeah, that's it.
Say your ammo capacity or something.
You've got to
be
powerful enough. Better. Exactly that. Yeah, but I'll be powerful enough.
When you die, you don't go back a step then. Once you've used the whatever it is.
No, you start the loop again. If you've saved your resources, if I've picked up a golden sniper rifle and haven't gotten back to my base with it, I can't save it. So, or if I get a slab and then get blown away. So the moment you get something cool, you go, right, I'm heading for the exit. So Colt lives in these just tunnels between the 4 areas, and you go, I've done my morning
loop. Really cool.
And you go back in, and quite often you'll go, oh, I've just got a really cool thing. I don't want to die. I could go and kill that person, but you know what? I really like this gun. I'm going to go back so I can save it. And to start with, you can't even say, the first couple of loops I was like, this is so annoying. I just found a really cool gun. And I don't have it anymore. And now, the moment I get something good, and I'm building it up, and I don't think I'm too far from the end, but I'm having fun.
They reckon it's about. Well, I saw one reviewer said that he'd done about 30 hours in it, but it's really down to how much you want to kind of explore and fuck about and farm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I haven't yet found a weapon so good that I'm like, oh, is there enough? I'm going to just leave this mission, even though there's stuff I could still be doing.
You haven't found that golden sniper rifle yet, then?
No, I probably haven't. No, but then you know how I've been playing it. I've just been stealthing around and stabbing everyone in the face.
Oh, the machete
is
actually deeply satisfying as a weapon.
You can take out 3 guys you can do a whole room quite easily without dying.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you get really powerful. But the point is, you're not just trying to take out a whole room. This is the joy. You're trying to take out 8 visionaries in a day, and you need to be double hard. And then there's the Juliana bit, which I find particularly interesting. So I
tried to do it on you last night, but it said you were unavailable.
Well, that's annoying. It might have been I was
you
out
were there
hunting.
on Steam. You were there on Steam, but then I saw
I was just in the menu. Yeah, no, I was just in the menus. I had it open. Oh, just give me a message if you want to hunt me down, and we'll take turns. Now, I've actually been playing as Juliana this afternoon before we recorded, because this was something I wanted to talk about, and it is fucking broken. If you're playing with randoms.
Oh, is it?
Now, the biggest problem is AFK. So I tested it, and I sat for half an hour. So what happens, if you go as Juliana, what it does is it basically locks down the level. The person playing as Colt can't exit the level until they hack a little box that you can defend, little signal box, and they have to hack it to be able to open the doors to get out. So they have to go through a certain point, right? And I sat there, I disguised myself as an enemy, I put it there, and I sat there and I waited, and I read my book with my headphones on, listening for noise, and nothing happened. And after half an hour, it timed out because there is no AFK detection in this game. It cannot tell if they're just sitting there in the menus. And if I'm playing the game and I want to pause it, I hit escape. Excuse me, but it doesn't actually pause the game. And if someone's not there, it can't detect it and go, sorry, we won't put you in this one. It will connect you to someone's session, and if they're not playing, and that is really annoying. And that's happened to me a number of times. It didn't let me connect
to you though.
Yeah, but I was not in a loop, right?
You'd exited the game.
Yeah, I was just in the menus. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But
so I don't know. Out of interest, I've just been playing it with friends only, so I haven't been invaded yet.
Yeah. No,
I
but
just didn't
I've
really
been
fancy
invaded.
the gankiness.
No, I'm kind of interested now. I'm going to give it a go, but I'm not that interested in being invaded. Mostly because I find most people are better at these things than me, and that's frustrating. But as the invader,
someone who's just
if you
bored
want
and
that kind of panic-writing terror of like the Terminator feel, then it's almost like you amp it up to insane difficulty.
It doesn't, because you see, you've got 3 lives as Colt. Juliana's got 1.
Yeah.
And
but I'm sure that won't stop some people.
I've played a few times with Juliana, and not
you do get
once
to level
have I
her up
taken him
though
down.
as well.
Yes, but I've taken Colt down twice, and then he's come back the 3rd time and killed me. Not once have I actually managed to kill him. 3 times as necessary.
Oh wow!
And there's ways you can sick the other people on the level on him and all of that stuff, but it's really hard as Juliana to actually kill Colt. I find maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but it's hard.
The whole invasion mechanic is also from Dark Souls, as are the little messages that come up in the levels, even though they're scripted. That is from Dark Souls.
I wouldn't say the invasion mechanic is from Dark Souls in the same way. It's its own thing. I've never seen anything done exactly the way this is, but I do like it.
No. But I'm just sort of pointing out how much this
more
seems
like Resident Evil. Is it Mr. X or something who just randomly hunts you down in levels? I've heard. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, Nemesis,
Mr. X.
But that's the thing.
Suddenly they're coming for
Dark
you.
Souls and in Bloodborne, you can get people actually invading your game if you put it online, and they can actually just find you and kill you.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. I thought. Yeah. No,
I'm just
maybe
saying,
it's not bad.
The conclusion I'm drawing, though, is that this is sort of like very much a marriage of old school immersive sim design and more modern
meta
tropes,
mechanics, and stuff.
What I would say, in my opinion, it's a good. I've not finished it. I think it's a good game. It is not nearly as good as Dishonored 2, unfortunately. I made a mistake of playing that almost immediately before. It's a good game. It's fun. It's entertaining. Eurogamer gave it an essential. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. To me, it's a solid 8. Yeah.
Oh, just a quick question. When you're playing as Juliana... Sorry. When you're playing as Juliana, can you attack the enemies that Colt has, or is it only...
Yeah, you can. And you could theoretically do some sort of weird
theory,
co-op.
jump in and help someone through a level as Juliana.
Yeah, and if you're doing it on Steam with friends only, you could theoretically, if Rob were playing, I could choose to invade his game and assist him.
Yeah, double your firepower
it's
of thing.
It's a theory, yeah. You could turn Juliana into a co-op.
I was just thinking that because you could do that in Bloodborne. You could, when people invade your game, if you know who they are, they can fight alongside you against bosses and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can assist, yeah.
And then afterwards they get vanquished. But yeah, no, I just thought, if they're using that mechanic, how far does it go? In theory, could they
There's no
jump
reason.
in
You certainly have... I certainly killed a couple of minions more out of boredom while I was waiting for the person I was after turning up, but you could definitely kill them. So I can't see any reason. In fact, I did accidentally kill one of the vision. You could kill a visionary as Juliana, because there's this in the evening at the party level. You got this guy called Alexis, and he wears a wolf mask, but he makes everyone at his party wear a wolf mask. So the trick is to watch out for someone who drinks chocolate beer. Because they only put it because apparently it tastes like piss.
Oh, I've heard
one of the
spoiler now twice today.
Well, it comes up if you hang around the party. You overhear a conversation that says he likes to drink chocolate beer. It's an element of the game, right? This is not really a spoiler, but it's a clue that comes up and records in the log. If you happen to be hanging around when you're on that level, you will just hear someone say, "Why is this piss here?" Oh, he drinks it. I don't know. No one else does.
I think I sort of might have heard that actually. Now I think about it,
So
but
it's
it
one of
didn't
those
come
things
up as
that
a
just
note.
happens, yeah.
No, well, it came up as a note for me. I think. I thought it did anyway. But
No, I just heard someone on a
by.
podcast say that,
Yeah.
and now I'm on a podcast and someone said that.
Well, it's like everything's in a big loop.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I was
You're going to
gonna
play
get
the
to it.
game, and then someone's going to say it in the game, and then suddenly they're going to ask you to be on a podcast, and then the loop will be complete.
That level does still seem like a gigantic nightmare for me at the stage I'm at in the game, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more practiced. So what you do find is you'll get the visionaries, and they've got a power you like, and you just keep going, looping over them till you got all the upgrades to that power, and then you find out about a couple of weapons, and I'm now at the point where I'm going, well, I've upgraded the powers I'm interested in, I've got the weapons I'm interested in, and I'm just following the clues, and soon it's just going to get to the point where it's going to tell me, yeah, you've got as many clues as you want. Do you want to just go and smash them all? And that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I mean, the game does a really good job of onboarding you, but like you end up going through a couple of them loops, and then it's just like, okay, off you go. And I was a bit like, what? What? I don't know what I'm doing. You've put loads of fucking objectives there. What do I do now? And so I decided that I would just try and maybe chase down some of these abilities first so I could get on at least their level. And actually, I just went to one place, and it's that place out in the snow.
Yeah.
And I was just there, actually, just to try and gather some info. I wasn't particularly after this chap, but he did start... Someone was shooting me, and then I went over there, and he kept going invisible. And I was like, oh, hang on, yeah, this is one of those fuckers. Because I took him down, and it popped up with a big, oh, you've killed one of the visionaries. I didn't even realise that I was doing that at the time.
I did.
I was just
I did
like,
that
there's
at
a
the
gu-
evening party. I basically broke into the party, shot the first person I saw with a wolf mask when everyone at the party was wearing a wolf mask, and it was the visionary. I was just like, whoa, hey.
Well, that's done.
Yeah.
But will it ever be that easy again? You know,
Nope. I shall be keeping an eye on the chocolate beer pump, which sounds like a euphemism.
Yeah, so will I straight away in a minute
Rob
probably.
will be like, chocolate beer, bang, dead. Exit.
Well, to be honest, I shall
Yeah.
probably wait till anyone's near the chocolate bit and then cast my web of headshotty doom on the entire room and do it, because it's much more fun.
Cool. Yeah. No, I'm only about 8 hours in. I've gone through. I just did the party for the first time to give you an idea. So I'm on about loop 4.
I've probably done about 10 full days. I'm getting very comfortable with the whole looping thing now.
Cool. Okay. Any other thoughts about Deathloop other than it's good?
It's fun.
I mean,
like I say, I'd like to see some patches to fix the PvP. I think it's not fair on the people that want to go hunting to end up having to hunt people who aren't there, because they could have started the level and they'll either be just crouching somewhere. You've got no way of finding them. None at all.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. The fair thing to do would be if they're AFK for more than 2 minutes, if they spend 2 minutes not moving or a minute not moving, to put a beacon on them and let the hunter have the kill or something like that.
Like a marker or something.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, to just start pinging and saying they're in this area, because I literally sat there. You get some points, so if you go 10 minutes with surviving, but after that, nothing. And I deliberately waited it out. I made myself a couple of delicious toasted sandwiches, and it was all very nice. And then I ate them, and then I got a message coming up saying that the person I was against has disconnected. I was about half an hour in, and that was rubbish. There was no joy in that. I want to get in and I want to hunt people who are there and want to play the game with me.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Couple of little technical things. I did end up getting this for PC in the end. I was slightly nervous when I saw what the recommended spec was for 4K 60, as I have bloody mindedly gimped myself by running my PC through my 4K TV. But I have turned everything up and I'm getting a good 45, 50 frames, even with the ray tracing on and everything. And I tried playing it with a mouse, but I could not deal with the movement. There's a strange inertia to the when you've got a digital input. It's not even the aiming that does me in. It's when you press the W key and there's this sort of, we're moving at this speed now. And I am used to having a bit finer control over that with a controller.
Yeah.
And also everything vibrates. The UI, even fucking upgrading a thing in your inventory, everything has some kind of kinetic feedback to it. And I'm really enjoying that. So I got it for PC, but I'm still playing it with an Xbox One controller.
To be honest, loads of people do it that way, and it's what it was designed for as well. So I got to say, even though I've been a massive PlayStation fan for years, the Xbox sort of One control pad is designed so well. Yeah. It just fits so comfortably. It's ridiculous.
I am a fan of the off-centered.
Yes, they work. They really work so well. It's freaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I used to PC game with the controller.
I dare say them going so crazy with all that is a byproduct of them developing it for PS5 and setting up all the haptic feedback for that. But I decided to go for PC because I figured it would look better. Ultimately, even though to get the 60 frames 4K that is standard on PS5 would require a bit more finessing of fucking about with all the options, which I was just not prepared to do. But I'm having a perfectly fine experience, albeit not a rock solid 60 frames. I can live with that. Nice. I'm quite happy with 30, which was the standard.
Problems.
30 was the standard.
You
and that's
build,
how I played
like
Ratchet
with
Clank.
Assassin's Creed, you just build a rod for your own back with this stuff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, probably. I do, yeah. But yeah, that Ratchet and Clank had the 60 frames option, and I went for the 31 because I wanted the rays traced. Because I feel like I'm missing out if I can't see that happening.
I feel like I don't really even notice rays being traced or not, so I couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, you're not like a graphics whore like me.
No, it's funny, isn't it? Because my PC's slightly better than yours as well.
I know, it's very surprising. And you're not gimped by having a reasonably sized screen as well.
No, because my monitor's about as big as my head.
Yeah.
Which is fairly large.
See, even if I didn't have that, I'd probably get one of those stupid wide ones that Matt's got, because I've seen Matt's and it's ruined
I
me.
must admit, I went into the computer shop near me and they've got one of those wide ones, which is basically the same width as my two monitors. And I really regret not just getting one wide one because it's so sexy. And yet for practicality and not gaming, dragging a thing across from one monitor to another. For a machine I work on, I would be stupid to get the wide one unless there was a setting that made it behave like two separate monitors.
When you have to raise the mouse and do like a third drag.
Yeah.
And then I've made it all the way across.
Well, it's resizing everything into... It's resizing two items into what would, for me, need to be identical-sized windows, rather than just being able to drag them across to my two monitors and maximise, Now, I've got two identical-sized 4K monitors. It's all good. It's all groovy. But it also means that while I'm waiting, if I'm queuing for games, for example, I can use my other monitors to browse Tinterweb, so that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Speaking of creating a rod for one's back, I wanted to mention a couple of other bits. If we're done with Deathloop, and that is basically right. I noticed that Psychonauts 2 had come out, so I thought, oh no, I'm not playing that brand new spanking game that's part of my subscription that I'm currently paying for. I'm going to see if I've got the original. I'm going to see if I've got the original in my Steam, which I had, and I'm going to see how this 16-year-old game looks today. And the answer is, it looks quite good, and I've spent nearly as long as I've spent in Deathloop on this. Psychonauts is a game that is way ahead of its time at the time it came out.
Yes.
You get to travel inside. You meet characters and you have an item that puts a door on their forehead and you go into their brain. And there's like a whole level. There's a very classic level called The Milkman, which is all about, I am the milkman, the milk is nice, which I deliver, and it's all complete. And there's another one I played where it's like this gigantic game of chess. There's one where you're in like a disco ball. The imagination of it is completely insane. And you have, and also it's like an action game where the solutions are quite often almost, because it's Tim Schafer has background. He did Monkey Island and all that sort of stuff. But he actually tried to transfer that sort of like use this on that into like an action game thing. So you have there's a bit in the game, for example, where you're playing Knockdown Ginger, or you're trying to get through a door, but as soon as you get near it, she's like, "No, you can't come in." And so you get like an invisibility power, and so you can wait till she opens the door and then just sneak in behind her. So it's trying to that's just a simple thing. You have a slice of streaky bacon, which obviously you use to contact the doctor that pops out of your ear hole for advice and stuff like that. It is bananas. But I'm doing this all in service of getting to Psychonauts 2, which I believe if it could end up in a Game of the Year conversation for me.
Yeah, I started it.
What did you think of it?
Stopped.
See, I really don't understand this. Because you've been moaning at me for playing all these really unhappy games. And I would not call Psychonauts
I've not been
an unhappy
moaning
game.
I'm saying I don't know. But just because it's not miserable doesn't mean I'll enjoy it.
But was it really not funny?
It was quite amusing.
But I just... So what was it... I'm just interested because you also like moan... Well, not moan. All right, I won't use the term moan. But you also infused about Ratchet and Clank. And like I'm playing like the old Psychonauts, and I'm feeling like so much of that in the original DNA of that. And
I can describe, Rob, is that I fired it up, played it for about 45 minutes, finished off, and had no desire to go back to it. That's all I can say. I don't. Just like if I start watching a film and I think that's all right, but I'd rather do something else, so I won't watch it. I don't have a compulsive need to start a thing and finish it. I started it and I went, yeah, it was all right.
No, I mean I've done that as well. I've had games on my wish list, that I've bought from Steam, and I've tried them. I mean, what was the one? Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds, yeah, or Outer Worlds.
That's the one. Outer, one of them. The one that I didn't finish.
Oh, okay, right. Right, got it. Yeah. The one that wasn't Fallout.
No. Huh?
The one that wasn't Fallout in space, yeah, that's Outer Wilds.
So I just wonder, I've also heard that the game assumes you literally have just finished the first game, despite there being a 16-year gap.
Yeah.
which made
It does
me,
give you a quick
when I
catch
heard
up,
that,
but it wasn't something I
Yeah.
enjoyed. It. I was just like, oh, this is fucking stupid. I don't care.
it is yeah, it is a bit daft. But I felt completely validated in my approach of going back to the original and finally finishing that, because I never actually did finish it.
Well,
So I feel like I've made the right choice.
That's good.
See, what happened was, Rob, you thought, after the last time that Will slightly chastised you for lack of fun, you went, I'm going to go and find a fun game. And then you went full fun. And Will went, no, you've gone more than too fun.
I think
You've gone to silly.
It's
Never
more
go
like,
full fun.
like
It's
we've
silly
been
now.
Well, Rob and I have been down the pub, and I've said, why can't you be more fun? And then we've both gone to the funeral, but he's turned up in the clown outfit. Nothing
I
like
think
that at all.
probably-
It just
And
tickled
given
me.
a eulogy in
Yeah.
various degrees of...
I think this is. I think ultimately, maybe it's just because this is a sequel to a really old, goofy game that was very much of its time.
Yeah.
And that this sequel is for fans of the original game.
Which you played, Rob, and enjoyed. To be honest, Rob,
And am playing 16 years
I've
later,
got to
and
say,
I'm amazed
power
at how
to
well
you.
it has aged.
I think go for it, because you clearly enjoyed it. I mean, the couple of messages that you kind of put on
runs-
there, I think if you're enjoying it, you're doing gaming right. If you're
Yeah, I know.
enjoying the
That's why
gaming experience,
I feel like it's a really wholesome thing that I'm doing. And like there's a couple of bits I got stuck on, right? And I googled some YouTube videos just to see if it could show me what I was doing wrong. And my God, they look like shit. My point being that the old game scales up very nicely, runs at full 4K, 60 frames, and is very controllable in a modern sort of way. I mean, they haven't changed controls much. They just work, like I say, they're modern feeling controls. There's a couple of like annoying little difficulty spikes that are a bit fiddly, kind of comes from those sort of old games, but nothing to really complain about. But moving on, I suppose, there has been another time loop game that's been released recently, which was called 12 Minutes. This is from Annapurna Interactive, and a lot of fuss has been made that of the all-star cast, for it has none other than James McAvoy and her off of Star Wars.
Daisy Ridley.
Yes, and oh god,
Willem
my
Dafoe.
brain, too much. Willem Dafoe. Yes, all right. So it's all in a top-down style, and you're basically you come home from work. Your wife's made you dessert. Hasn't even made you dinner. I don't understand that fucking shit. And then there's a knock on the door. And a cop comes in, ties you up, and then like beats you to death or something, and then you're like, oh! And then you wake up, and it's the same day again.
God, there's a bit few too many of these at the moment, really, aren't there?
Yeah. So this is like a proper like adventure game, and much like Deathloop, you are basically making progress by uncovering information, by doing weird things like, I don't know, like hiding in wardrobes, finding objects in places, that kind of stuff,
Well,
so you can observe
Like a knife embedded
conversations.
in your head sort of thing.
Yeah, so then you can come back the next time round and go, oh, what about this then, eh? And she's like, what? How do you know that? Prove that this is a time loop. And then you have to like grab something out of a drawer that she's shown you and do all these little bits and bobs. But the problem is, right, the joy of time loop fiction is that there's normally some sort of like montage, or the act of accumulating this information is fun. When you are just left with like the trial and error of just going through the same fucking day over and over again, it does start to sort of lose its shine somewhat. So, and there's a twist at the end which is horrid, and I just, you know what I mean? It's like,
why have you done this to me?
yeah, and this game took like 5 years to make or something. And all I'll say is like, yeah, just maybe don't worry about it. I played the first hour and a half of it, I'd say, like it was a Saturday night and I wasn't going out for some reason, so I just had all night, and I was like, yeah, I got a glass of wine, I'm just going to keep clicking through this fucking thing until I figure it out. When it got to picking it up again, I just didn't really have the patience for it, so I looked for help. And they said just turn it off and uninstall it, but I persevered and actually got to the end. So I would say, just don't worry about it too much. Shame, really.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Watching the Xbox conference, I was like, "Oh, I'm quite captivated. I like the look of this." But I heard it spoken about a few times, and yeah, it's not obvious what you have to do, and it's bleak as hell. I'd rather play something fun. I don't know, maybe just some sort of weird. I don't know. What's the guy that did Monkey Island up to these days? I'd love to play anything he did.
No, you don't do that. Oh, hang on, we're on another loop, aren't we? That's going to come up. Right, okay, but there is another game from the same publisher that I think is amazing and does definitely need recognition. I also played this on Game Pass, and this is called The Artful Escape, and it's about this chap who is basically like some sort of, well, he's like the nephew of a... let's just call him
Bob Dylan. Yes, I've heard. I've heard. You're not the only one I've heard say that.
Yeah.
Yes. The Dob Billen. We'll call it.
Yeah, that's it. That'll do. So you do that, and the game starts, but and you just and it says just press X to conjure a tale of woe and misery, and you do that, and he starts going ding 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 ding, and then it will do another one, and it like similar sort of concept, and then it goes, and then you just get the option to shred like a beast, like he just like a Pink Floyd Van Halen demon, and it's sort of you end up, and the whole thing is like him about trying to chase down or chase his own identity. Escape from like the expectations everyone has that he will follow in his uncle's footsteps, and then you meet up with Carl Weathers, basically, who is voicing a character called Lightman, and he basically takes you to outer space, and you go left to right down these hills, jumping occasionally.
Carl Weathers,
and at any point being able to press blue or X to continue soloing, and you just go off on a magical light adventure of glorious epicness amongst the aliens and the cosmos and planets and stars and nebula, and it just goes on, and it's amazing.
Carl
and I'm going to play it again as soon as this finishes. Yeah, Lena Headey's...
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, Apollo Creed. Lena Headey
also
does a voice.
Yeah.
that I nearly said him. That's why I had to look it up. Yeah, Mark Strong does a voice. Lena Headey does a voice. It's fucking fantastic. I think it's only about 4 hours long, but I heard some little noises about it on Twitter, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it might be my cup of tea. And it's on Game Pass, and I'm still subbed to that. So yeah, fucking fantastic. It's got this feeling. Oh, it's got like little bits where you actually do like Guitar Hero. Sort of rhythm action. Yeah. But there's bits where it's like some alien, and it's just like their eyes light up, and you've got to hit like both shoulder buttons at once, and you just get this glorious like twin harmony lead note, and it's just I can't really put it into words how epic it is. Yeah, it's just so glorious. Like, I mean, it just gives you that feeling that you got, I suppose, when you were playing Guitar Hero and you managed to nail a good solo, but it's not that difficult.
Is this game based on like the song that saves the universe, like from Bill and Ted? Because it sounds like
there is a bit of Bill and Ted. Carl Weathers' character is very much like a Rufus type character.
I'm just getting vibes of like you said, the way that it goes, it explodes into the universe and just keeps going. I'm getting vibes of that sort of feel. Like
it is like the most excellent adventure,
I think I might have to take a look at that. What's it called again, Rob?
Give it a spin, man. The Artful Escape.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm just like,
it's just silly. I don't know how to describe it, but I think anyone with a passing interest in rock will enjoy.
Sounds fun.
That's all I've got, really. I was going to talk about the Netflix interactive stuff, but I don't think that's really very gamey. It just kind of occurred to me because Bear Grylls has done a few of these now, and they start off where like you get him to eat slugs and it's funny.
Right, that's downloading.
Cool.
That's something to do tomorrow.
Yeah, it won't take you long, mate. I mean, I've put about an hour or two in, and I'm halfway through. And the great thing is, you then get to be able to select the chapters. So I can quite imagine if anyone comes over after the pub, I'll just whack that on and give them the controller and let them deal with it.
So to just quote the words for the description, on the eve of his first performance, Francis Vendetti struggles with the legacy of a dead folk legend and the cosmic wanderings of his own imagination. In an attempt to escape the musical legacy of his uncle, a teenage guitar prodigy embarks on a psychedelic journey to inspire his new stage persona, searching for who he isn't in an adventure spanning stolen opera houses, melodic alien landscapes, and the impossible depths of the cosmic extraordinary. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few little sort of bits where you kind of just bodding around, and there's a few like inane conversations that are a bit shit, but you just get through that.
To get to the good bit.
And then you play guitar. Hello! I've gone all blurry. Drunk too much wine and I've gone into low definition.
It's because you don't. It's because you're too cheap to turn your frickin' lights on, Rob.
No, I will, but I just don't like it. It's too light.
Yes, but look, your camera can see where you are.
I know. I'm just testing the limits of its low-level
Oh, you found
vision.
Well,
Yeah.
if that's all we've got, unless you've got anything, Will.
I'll be honest, no, that's me.
I just want to mention the game that I've been kind of following for a little while, and it's really weird because you don't really have many Chinese game development companies, do you?
The only one I can think of was that Zelda clone knockoff that jumps to mind.
Yeah.
And there was a Chinese...
But
Tencent are like a major publisher. But they're a publisher.
I suppose it's the most populous country in the world. Relative to the population, you're right.
Yeah. Well, there was a game that caught my eye a while back, and it was like one of those videos of a game, and you kind of think, that can't be real. It looks like an Unreal demonstration kind of thing rather than an actual game. And it's a Black Myth Wukong. It's based on the Son Wukong, the Monkey King legend and stuff. And it looks mental. Like, it's a Soul-style game where you've got like the really oversized characters like Sekiro sort of Souls-type game. And it looks mental, and I'm kind of just following it because I want to see what it looks like actually on release. And it looks like it's had an Unreal upgrade as well, so it's moved on to the latest version of what was it we were seeing, Unreal 5 or something like that?
Yeah.
I think it's been boosted onto that now, so it could be one of the weird games to come out from that. And it's like all sorts of weird mythology and strange, weird shit going on. But it looks absolutely mental. You play the sort of Monkey King character and stuff like that, and you go around just beating odd deity-type foes who are all disfigured and weird creatures like toad creatures and weird hermit creatures and giant pig
I remember it being
flaming
revealed
creatures.
last year. I'm just watching the trailer. It looks
it's been
bonkers.
upgraded since then, and it's still and they've had gameplay sections, so it's an actual game. But I thought it's worth a mention because you don't really hear of many, and this is an indie studio doing this, so they must have like a warehouse full of everyone working on this. But it could be one of the most impressive games we've possibly never heard of.
Apparently, it's already been upscaled into 8K, but I suspect Rob, you'll need a new rig, mate.
To be honest, I mean,
I'm just literally going to pull my telly off the wall now and throw it in the bin.
Just get a smaller telly.
But I thought it was worth
8K. What would you? You can't buy a smaller 8K telly.
No. Oh, maybe we found a gap in the market.
They have on the side of buildings. That's it. But I just thought it was worth a mention.
Samsung insist on making their phones 8K ready, so I am talking absolute bollocks.
I mean, yeah, I just thought it was worth a mention because it's just...
It does look beautiful,
it looks like these guys, and because they don't have any pressure, because they don't get like the sort of normal media on there, just every now and then they chuck out an updated trailer and stuff like that saying they're working on this.
Yeah.
They don't have any of the kind of constraints and things. It's due to come out in 2023, which is ample time. I'm happy for them to take their time on it. But I just thought it was worth a mention because it looks gorgeous, like the snow effects and everything running through, like attacks and everything like that. And I've seen videos of the gameplay footage running. It looks legit.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's got epic.
So if this comes out, I definitely want to have a look into this. But I just thought it'd be worth a mention. An early mention.
Yeah. Oh, happy days.
Yeah. Long live studios we've never heard of bringing more stuff to the world.
Well, I just wonder how shit like that gets financed and when it starts to become like a financial situation and are they able to actually deliver that?
I think they looked at CD Projekt Red and thought, we can do something like that for China. Not in the kind of controversy, but I mean in the sense that if China... Because it's all about the power stake, isn't it? It's political in a sense. If you have a foothold in the world and you're producing video games, you're on the world stage.
Yeah.
And it's like a polite arms race, isn't it? You know, if people notice your product, you're bringing in money from it, and you can make a pretty healthy GDP from it if it comes out on platforms. I don't see why not. And if they've got the manpower behind it and it's a legit game and it comes out and it's all fine, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, indeed. Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where we talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, bye!
I'm inclined to agree 'cause I suck at